Terrorists, extremists, hate groups, white supremacists. They are not the relics of the past one might imagine. Participation in these groups is growing, and their activities are on the rise. As our nation continues to grapple with acts of violence on American soil, the Anti-Defamation League's expertise and resources are more critical now than ever before.
Every day, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, the men and women of law enforcement are going out in the street, responding to 911 calls, dealing with the threats they face. As many tools that we can put in their toolbox to help them do their jobs effectively. And it could be as simple as noticing a tattoo on an individual and remembering that that tattoo has a correlation with a hate group of some kind.
The Anti-Defamation League is someone that I use as a resource on a weekly basis. Sometimes we might not know what a symbol is, or what a piece of graffiti might be, or a hate mail. And I'll pick up the phone and I'll call the ADL office and I'll speak to the local resource. And 9 times out of 10, he has all the answers.
The ability to help law enforcement when we had a terrible situation here where over 35 headstones were desecrated with extremist ideology and symbolism, and we were there in the office of Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart when he got the call that they got the person who did this atrocious act, and ADL was helpful in terms of being able to identify and figure out what the symbols meant vis-a-vis extremism.
Right here in the Midwest, every local FBI agent and Chicago police officer is trained by ADL. These programs prepare the officers to note emerging threats and to investigate and prosecute criminal activity. Today, ADL not only monitors more than 7,000 individual extremists nationwide, but also the networks they attempt to create with people who share their radical ideology. ADL experts deliver more than 10,000 trainings a year across the country, ranging from sessions on domestic terrorism to white supremacy, anti-government extremism, identification of hate symbols, and officer safety.
While we face new issues from overseas groups, we still have a lot of issues that we face from domestic-based extremist groups. And we shouldn't exchange training for one for the other. It's important that we train in all those areas, and that's what the ADL training touches on. Whether you're in Israel as a law enforcement professional, or you're in Washington, D.C. doing the institute there, or it's the ADL coming into our own departments and agencies to do training, we have got an ever-increasing number of threats that we need to provide officers with the tools to learn from and confront. And the ADL covers all of those.
So the online hate crime training video and module that was created through a partnership with ADL and the Chicago Police Department is a brilliant tool. It's a time-saving effort that saves on manpower. We don't have to pull officers off the street in order to come to a 3-hour training.
One of the most valuable parts of the seminars is perspective. The ability for law enforcement officials and individuals in Homeland Security to travel to the state of Israel and stand at a border and look across the country and see the other border and realize the threats that are faced with respect to individuals who are trying to harm not only first responders but residents. And then the same issues that we're facing in the United States more and more on a daily basis, whether from individuals that are trying to attack the homeland through active shooter incidents or through improvised explosive devices, and to gain that perspective from a country that has dealt with these issues day in and day out for years on end, and the best practices that they've learned and the preparedness efforts that they've undertaken is really valuable to us.
The first thing that you need to do is get to know your local ADL office. I think it's very important for the ADL to continue to work with law enforcement agencies because we don't have all the resources. There's no limits to what the ADL does.
The results are clear. ADL's intelligence sharing and unique law enforcement programs are making our community and our nation safer for all. Help us continue this vital relationship.